Hello and welcome to SHOWstudio's live panel discussions, fully digital for the first time. This season, experts from all parts of the industry will discuss and debate the most important subjects affecting the fashion industry. Wow, I can't speak. I'm Bella Gladman, your panel chair today. I'm a writer and editor and part of the editorial team at SHOWstudio. And today we're going to be talking about Bianca Saunders' new collaborative zine, We Are One of the Same, and the idea of a collaboration mindset. So without further ado, I would really love to my panelists to introduce themselves. Bianca, you want to go first?
Hi guys, I'm Bianca Saunders. I'm a menswear designer and I have a label called self-titled as Bianca Saunders.
Hey everyone, I'm Joshua Woods, photographer, filmmaker from Harlem, New York, based in Paris, France now.
Hi, I'm Jess Cole. I'm a model and a writer currently based in Southeast London, Peckham.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining me today. It looks super fun. So we're here to talk about the new zine that you guys have been working on, We Are One of the Same, which looks beautiful and is available to buy on Bianca's website. So if you're watching, you better go and buy a copy right now. But let's just talk about the title, We Are One of the Same. How did it come up and who came up with it?
I actually can't remember how we actually came up with it, but it first started looking at Joshua's work. It's very authentic, and it looks at people that are, it's almost like a documentary style. He really understands the person behind the lens and finding that sort of connection. And then with my work, it's based around gender and connection and finding the balance of similarities. So then the idea around twins came about, and just finding similarities in each other and seeing how we we meet at one point that's basically mutual. So it didn't really have a lot to do with the current climate because we did shoot it last year. It was just about my work in general, and what I usually discuss within my topics. Yeah, I don't know. What do you think, Josh?
I think we had a couple back and forths about the title, but it kind of came into its own based off the concept of when we wanted to shoot a set of twins. Initially, I wanted to shoot a set of I wanted to find as many different different sexes of twins as I can, and just make it a full-on story of just different sexes of twins, because you really don't ever see. I mean, I thought you've seen twins, you've seen fashion stories of loads of twins, but I thought it would have been interesting to have a male and female twins to sort of bring home what Bianca's clothing sort of does in terms of being genderless.
I think there's something really nice about the idea of twins, because the thing about twins for me, what comes up the most is this idea of connection, and that that there are two people, two different bodies, two individuals, but who are connected in this really material way by genes.
Right.
And once you take that idea and sort of expand it, you realize that actually humans are humans, and we're all in some way connected to one another through the fact of our biology and the fact of our the material cells that make us up, which I thought is really actually a very interesting thing to do when it comes into fashion, because so much of fashion is about expressing your individuality, or expressing your a point of difference, or trying to look separate or significant. And I really like the idea that actually twins provides this idea of similarity and sameness. And I wanted to know how you explored this idea of sameness and continuity through your designs, Bianca. This idea of how to create connection between people and between, I guess, between different ideas.
Yeah, I think just the friendship group that I'm usually around, we're quite very open and I guess we like have like similar ideas. I'm not saying that's like the most beneficial thing, but when it comes to our differences, we all have like a common ground to kind of like connect on. And with me and collaboration, I just really enjoy being able to share, create like the creativity within the project. I've done it previously for like other things that I've, I guess, put out, so other zines I've put out. And I felt as though like working with Joshua and working with Jess and like working with Matt, it just really works very well for this particular project. Yeah, because I think Josh, you worked on a few collaborations as well too, isn't it?
Yeah, I've done some collaborations, but yeah, I mean, I guess we're just going into the topic of collaboration. Our collaboration, I think it was sort of, I guess I can just talk about how we just sort of came into collaboration, which is probably like the most interesting collaboration I've done. But I'll just say a little bit of the story how we met, maybe, Bianca, of how we connected, thought about maybe collaborating. But you know, when I got hit up by the British Fashion Council, and to be a part of the New Wave Creative team, and I thought it was a fake email. I was like, no way that I'm going to be a part of this. I was like, this is, I was at a time, I was like, this is not, I was like, I was trying to figure out my next move in fashion, and things were really slow. And then that email came, and then I flew to London, and then, I got to be amongst other creators of color who work in fashion. And that's where, well, Becky from Twin Magazine introduced us, but Bianca and I saw each other in that room of amongst, the fashion elitists, and us being, two creators of color. It was just like, we have to collaborate, because like, you obviously see how many of us are in the room. So it was a very special evening, and those individuals of color who were in that room, I think we all hold like a very close, tight bond when it comes to pushing our narratives and our ideas into this climate. So so it was a very special time, and so it was just a no-brainer to collaborate with Bianca, and then I guess I'll talk about Jess. Jess and I, we were really, really good friends, really close friends, and we met through Tyler, who's actually one of our really close friends. And we were supposed to all hang out in Mexico City for New Year's, and no one else showed up.
I knew this story was coming.
So we had a really good time, and I think we had only met once before that, and then all right, now we're here, and we're becoming fast friends in Mexico City. And I got to know a little bit more about Jess and her process when it comes to writing. And she told me she went to a really good school, and for writing, she went to Goldsmith, and she's actually a trained writer, because I thought she was just a model. I didn't know it was model writer Jess Cole.
You got behind the / didn't you, babe? You saw what was beyond the model.
Yeah. So I read a few things that Jess has written, some stuff she did for ID and stuff like that, and I was blown away by her writing style, and I thought the zine could have Jess brought her magic touch, and I told her she can basically write whatever she wanted, and however she saw the collaboration that Bianca and I had already started, and to just put her magic sauce, her Jess Cole sauce on it. So yeah, I mean, that's how this pretty much came together.
Yeah. It's also, I think, the beauty of the fact, which is something that I've learned, is that I've never been in a because with journalism it's so like fast, and like it's a quick turnover and instant validation, but like this like really taught me like patience, because I think I came in like July, and it was such a long process, because we were just kind of like feeling out like what to do, and like I was doing lots of research, and like I thought of one idea and it ended up being something completely else. And like I think that was the beauty of the collaboration, is that like I came with a sort of perspective of what I wanted to do, and then like in conversation with Bianca and Josh, we like put our own energies in, and then like pulled out something completely to not what I had imagined, and something so much better, which was really nice, because I've never done that before, because I think writing is very solitary and like quite lonely, and then these guys.
Because I wanted to ask Bianca actually to kind of talk us through the clothes that we see in the zine, which are your designs. What kind of things should we be looking out for? What kind of things are like particularly strong that we should be honing in on?
So with that collection, we just so basically I did a trip to New York, and I had like a short amount of time, and I had only like one suitcase. I was trying to just bring as much as I can. So it was a combination of AW19 and the previous season, which was SS19, and then combine it together like as an archive collection, collaboration, styling, I guess, experiment. And I guess with looking at Matt's work's very androgynous. So I feel like he was the perfect person to kind of like add into this project and kind of get a balance of how do we see these individuals as similar, and how they wear in the clothes in a way that it both works on equal bodies, because we are very different in terms of like a man's body and a woman's body, and how can like both of them wear the same clothes and still look as if it belongs to them. And I feel like the idea of like belonging and like wearing clothes that like suit you and fit you and make you feel comfortable is really important. There's separate scenes in like the zine where the twins are wearing the same outfit, and they're like either like they're like clapping together and like having fun, and there's scenes where they're like leaning on each other and they have like a similar sort of like aesthetic. So like I guess finding that sort of balance was really important, and what I really like to show within my clothes, even though it is like menswear, but it's kind of like an open door. That's why I really try to create my designs.
Absolutely, I think you definitely get that sense, and I think what's so nice about it is that you kind of get the sense that the sort of Bianca Saunders character is someone that can manifest in so many different ways and so many different moods and so many different feelings. Like, the Bianca Saunders man could also be the Bianca Saunders woman, or the Bianca Saunders non-binary person, the Bianca Saunders person that is, playing in between them, on that day. There's a softness, and there's a freedom, and there's a playfulness to it. Like, especially I think brought up by the kind of sense of like the lightness in the photography. And I kind of wanted to ask now to Joshua, kind of what you were really trying to hone in on in the staging of your photography, kind of what kind of briefs or kind of instructions you were giving to your models, and how you found the location, and tell me a bit more about the construction of your images.
Yeah, so there's a guy named Michael. His name is Michael. He's a location scout in New York, and he has like these really, really interesting locations that he does for sort of film sets and stuff for movies. So and he also rents out a lot of the places for fashion editorials. So he, he's always posting different places on his Instagram, and I saw this location pop up, and I was like, whoa, this is like, this place is like incredible. It's like, I think it was an old monastery where nuns were living. And I just thought the patina peeling off the wall and just the different colors of the place would sort of add to and work with the collection, especially the blue room, the main shot of the twins together. I thought would work well with the colors of Fahim's coat, etc. With Bianca's, with some of the clothes. So I thought Yeah, I thought this location was perfect, and yeah, I mean, I really wanted to showcase. I mean, like you said, Bella. I mean, it's kind of like self-explanatory. It's like with genderless clothing. I mean, there's no other literal way you can put it, and make those sort of connections happening. So it was kind of a no-brainer, and it kind of came really easy to showcase and to kind of convey what we initially set out as the concept. So.
It was also like I remember like being on the set with like it's the first time I actually shot with Josh, and it's just so freeing to be able to work with artists of color because like we have like a general mutual understanding. I don't have to fully explain my projects as like intense or as in depth as I would have to people that might not necessarily understand. And it was just like he was playing his own music, like he was playing like hip hop, and like was like literally just having such a fun day, being able to go from like, the top of the building to the bottom. I remember it was like slightly sunny as well too, and there was like a massive like rooftop view we went to like after, and then me and Josh met a couple times because Josh is like he's really attached to his work. So I remember meeting him at the photography development studio, and he like development is such a big part of his work. So I think that's something that really impressed me, and really like something that really made me respect his work even more. And then usually I guess the people of color who I work with, they're so good at their job, and that's going on to like what Jess's work as well too, because you were so like conscious of what you wanted to say and how you wanted to explore it. And I remember you were saying you did like so much research, and I think that's what I really do respect about the people I collaborate with. They are really passionate about being a part of projects like this.
Absolutely. So Jess, talk us through kind of how you sort of came to the writing that you did. Like, how did you respond to the images? What kind of things were you researching? What was your process, basically?
Oh God, I'm looking at Josh because he knows that I'm an absolute nightmare at writing.
Before you go, Jess, before you say anything, Jess, Jess is such a smart. Jess is incredibly smart, and the level, and that's one of the things that I learned about Jess, and that's what I really on our trip to Mexico was I saw that her and I had similarities in terms of doing research and going really deep holes to find and undiscover, really interesting things that may go over other people's heads. So yeah, I mean, go ahead, Jess.
I think actually, and I definitely, research is such an important thing for me. And I think it's because, I grew up in a white education system that's through the lens of, white supremacy, basically. And everything we've been told is slightly skewed towards whiteness. So for me, it's always been really important to dig as deep as I can. But I was very specific actually when I first started researching for the zine, because I was really interested in finding post-colonial theorists who were of color talking about gender within blackness. I couldn't find anyone. It was so hard. And I went to SOAS, which is like a kind of the university for cultural studies, supposedly. And as a member of the public, you should be able to have a day pass and just go in and look at all the cultural studies things. I mean, it's never advertised, and I only knew about this because I've had the privilege of going to university, and I had such a tough time just getting in there, just to look at the books. And I think, so it's kind of verging off, but it's like there's a complete lack of accessibility to these cultural theorists. It doesn't matter if they're black or white. So I was just peeling through them and then infusing it into the work. But I didn't write anything for a couple of months. I was just trying to find my own narrative within all of these narratives that are out there.
Yeah. And another thing to add to that, I noticed from getting to know Jess and through her getting commissioned to write a lot of stories, and to see her process and how she really, she really she struggles a lot trying to get these jobs, get these commissions done, and you know, so I knew from the jump that that just shows her passion and how she cares about what she does. So I knew from seeing Bianca's you know, attitude and how she really goes about her designs, and you know, it's really hard to make clothing like this. It's, you know, not everyone can really do this. And be a part of these circles that exist in London, where you know you can see the clothing actually live when you're on the ground. You see how people are moving and shaking, and seeing what they're wearing, and to be able to create from that language, I think was just brilliant. So I think just bringing Jess in was just again perfect.
I think that's, sorry, as well, it's just that I love, like, because this was like a completely self-directed project, everything was organic, because it was really freeing that we didn't have a final vision. It was just like, let's just play with it. And it's like, wow, like, I've never done anything like that before. And it was just really, really cool. So
nice.
So to add to that, what I've been really understanding from the three of you talking is this idea that actually working together is something that's almost like unspoken or instinctual, that it's not something where you have to like set out clear things of like, okay, these are your targets and I want to see this, and someone has a vision, and then you know, the other people kind of work and produce that thing. It's that all three of you are responding in an instinctual way and connecting with one another in a way that's improvisatory, that it's done through the kind of the living process of, you know, turning up on set and looking at things and enjoying that rooftop moment. And for Jess, it's about actually spending that time with the written word and with the kind of research material, and sort of waiting, taking that time for it to percolate through before the narrative comes. There isn't a sense of being forced into it. And I kind of want to talk about what it's like to about the process of collaboration, and that how to remind yourself or stay with that idea of following your instincts and following your gut reactions when you're working with other people, because I think that's where the most interesting creative work comes from. What do you think, Bianca?
Oh, sorry. I think I just got a bit lost there. I think I'll put it over to Josh to answer the question.
I think Bianca's instincts really show in her designs. You know, I think that's, you know, you see you can see what's happening in London, and you can see how her inspiration takes place and unfolds through her designs. I mean, for me, my process in terms of photographing is based off of instinct. So it's really you know, connecting. Firstly, knowing and making sure I'm comfortable in the situation so that others are comfortable. So, you know, when Bianca says, like, she comes to set and she hears, you know, I start putting on, you know, the you know, some old school Nas, or like, you know, playing Illmatic, some, you know, whatever, you know, it's like I'm comfortable. So like when I'm comfortable, you know, then it's easier for me to like instinctively sort of make work. So it's you know, that's sort of how the process goes. I mean, when you're out, you know, photographing people who, you know, all sorts, it's like you have to be able to be a chameleon, I guess, where, you know, in a sense, to be able to like pick people's energies up and be able to sort of translate that through the lens. So it was, you know, putting the concept together, you know, et cetera, and then executing it. It was just flawless.
Jess, how have you found kind of like, how do you maintain sort of following your own thought process as opposed to getting distracted? Is that something that you find hard, or is that something that you're getting better at?
When it comes to writing, or just general life?
Let's take writing for the start, and then we can talk to general life after.
Okay, might need some therapy. No, you know what? It's really hard because it's learning how to be patient. And actually, that I feel like when it comes to writing, or like being a writer or whatever, like I was trying to like set out this like ridiculous routine where I'd get up at 5 a.m. because I was like watching all these videos of like Paul Thomas Anderson, and he was like, I write between 4 a.m. and 7 a.m. and then I go for a cycle, and I was like trying to force myself into this routine. It's just like it doesn't work for my creativity. It's just trying to find your own path. And like for me, it's like most of the time my writing comes from just reading, and reading is a variety of things, and having that quiet and that stillness to just read and like understand and unpick how other people are writing, so it builds into what I'm going to do. So the way that I stay focused is by focusing on what everyone else is doing.
Yeah.
That's wow.
It's so paradoxical, but you know, I actually kind of wanted to put that now over to Bianca a little bit, because Bianca, kind of from your kind of the start of your design process, you know, after graduating from the RCA, then you know, each season you've collaborated with different people on different kind of projects and ways to like explore both your designs but also the ideas behind them. And I wanted to know how, I guess, you keep a sense of like what the tension is between keeping a sense of yourself and your vision, but also bringing in outside perspectives, as you have done, you know, for a number of collections now. Like, what does that tension give you?
It's actually quite hard, because when I was at the RCA, it was like I had in my head, I would really want to start a brand, but I really want to be able to do like creative projects and like collaborate with like friends and like collaborate with people that I really like, and the brand not just to exist as clothing, but to exist to make people think, make people create conversations. And I feel like what I've set out to do has actually really worked. But then when it comes to like scheduling and planning, I've really underestimated that I actually can't do all these things in between. That's why it's taken so long to even put this project out. I have so many creative ideas to the point that the graphics and like the layout, I did it myself. Which was like, it was a little bit, I think I have this vision in my head. I was like, okay, I want to do it this way, and it has to look like this. So I remember like being in the studio and then like getting my interns to work on things, and then like me doing the initial layout, then going back and forth, getting interns to like help me like tweak things and like add in extra bits. So I'm like literally a pro on Photoshop and Illustrator and InDesign and all those other programs. And I just really want to show people how multifaceted that I am, and how much I have learned from the RCA to just be someone that just does it by themselves. Because I have very little resources. The whole brand is basically me working full time along with Clara, who helps, and then like having people like stylists and everyone else that adds in between. So it all works as collaborations. Like, this brand wouldn't be able to survive if I didn't spread my network so wide and have like so many creative people that can kind of uplift it and really push me creatively, and help me put forward these projects.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think especially, you know, with the kind of, I really wanted to talk about actually the exhibition that you put on in Brixton, and that there was definitely a really strong community focus in that. And I wondered actually how, for you particularly, Bianca, but also for all of you, how thinking about community can add to your sense of purpose with the work that you do.
I think that's really good, Bella. I think for a while, I mean, for me, for a while, when I started photography, I was shooting the shows. I was shooting all the fashion shows backstage for about 3 years, from 2012 to like 2015, or 2016, maybe 4 years. And you know, I didn't really see any other photographers of color back there. And so you know, it was really. Wait, what was your question again? Sorry. Oh, what was your question again?
It's getting all nostalgic.
Right. What was your question?
The question was, how does seeing yourself and feeling part of a community
Right.
Your creative work?
So like I didn't really see any other like photographers of color doing that sort of work. And then I sort of hit a ceiling, and then sort of came out of that and started doing more personal work and more fashion editorials. And then, then I started seeing other individuals from London, from New York, in terms of photographers of color, like Tyler and Campbell and I didn't know them at the time, but then we all sort of gravitated towards the British Fashion Council sort of brought us all together, and it was the first time for me meeting many of them, and seeing that sense of community, not only through photography but other black creatives making work, and it was great to see, because it's like sometimes when you're working alone, you don't see any people like you. It's like it gets difficult to be able to want to even to push forward, so seeing a sense of community building around our work, and we even have a big group message on Instagram, including myself and Jess, with all the other Black creatives on working in fashion, and we're all discussing ways to move forward, how to protect ourselves, how to decipher things, etc. And I think through those interactions that we've developed, I think that's helped me want to even continue to even pursue fashion, and to continue to even make fashion imagery and push our narratives. So I think the community of creatives, not only through photography but hairstylists, and like Jawara and writers like Jess Cole and etc. It's just like it's really, really like impactful to help us continue to move forward and push forward like these, what it is to be a Black creative.
I think as well, like for me personally, like community has been like fashion and like media and art, there's a lot of fakery in it, and it's really hard because you get so caught, if you're like the person of the moment, you get so caught up in it and in the whirlwind, and you think everyone loves you and stuff, and then actually when you're not getting any work or not getting any jobs, it's that group of people that are still there for you, still got your back, that keep you grounded. And I think that's the only thing. It's really important to have like an honest and authentic community of like friends that you love, and that you're holding each other up. You're not going to throw one of them under the bus, especially if you're a Black person as well, because there is that tokenism within every industry, really, isn't there? Yeah.
I was thinking as well about, I guess, whether community has also kind of affected the kind of work that you put out as well, in the sense that, I know from reading Bianca's interviews that she's done previously, that she, especially with some of your like early collections, it's about trying to do something for men, to try and provide a kind of alternative kind of representation of masculinity, to expand the Black community's kind of idea of themselves and who they could be. And I wondered whether Jess and Josh, whether you also have been trying to kind of like, in knowledge of your community, or the community that you feel with one another, whether you've actually thought, I'm going to do that work because I know who it's going to impact.
Yeah, I guess so, because then like with this project, being able to connect with Joshua, who was mostly based in New York, and then on that trip I was able to meet people like Jess Wills and all the other people that exist in that space. And I guess us seeing each other's work and seeing how much we've developed over the years has really pushed us individually. And we are very supportive of each other. I've never seen anyone be like, oh, I hate that bitch, or like so like it's been really like positive. What do you guys think?
I think I feel like I can speak on behalf of all of us, is that I'm from like a super working class background. I think Josh and Bianca are pretty working class backgrounds as well, and it's just like the way that the industry is stacked, it's not like, there's a lot of work that you have to do that's unpaid. So every time that I meet someone and there's a connection with that background, I'm like, that's who we're working for. That I want people grew up in a council estate in the middle of nowhere, to be able to look at something and be like, that kid came from an estate as well, and like, look how far they've got. That's the thing that really pushes me, is, and like, when we talk of diversity, it's not only a racial diversity, it's a very much needs to be a class diversity as well.
Yeah, definitely.
I think for me, when I started photography, I didn't necessarily say I'm only going to photograph Black people. That wasn't my intention. And I think with the climate, the current climate, but the current climate has been, it's been the climate for forever. Showed itself many a time, but I think as you see the climate continually sort of, bring itself to light, it's like, then you realize at a certain point, it's like, you know what, if we're constantly seeing images of white narratives being in front of us, it's like, it gets difficult. And I always talk to Tyler, because we're always sharpening each other. We're always throwing ideas back at each other, because him being probably the most young, successful Black photographer to come out, it's like, he's constantly, and he gets challenged a lot in terms of how to push the Black narrative. But it's for a really long time, it's like we've seen this, this white image in front of us all the time. So, to create work around your own people and to create work around Black lives, it's like it becomes like, it becomes more of a instead of, I don't know, it just becomes kind of like liberating almost, where it's like, you know what, now it's like, now I almost have a sense of responsibility now to be able to have to carry this narrative, because it's been told by many other photographers or not of color, and it's like, like I said, I didn't come into photography wanting to do that, but now that I'm in the landscape and seeing what's happening, it's like, now it's like, well, I have, like, this is a part of me now. This is a part of me. So it's part of it was like a learning process also, in coming to understanding my voice and understanding, what it is my work says, and as a body, as a body of work. So yeah, now it's a complete responsibility, and I take pride in completely doing it now. And not that it's the only thing that I do, you know what I'm saying? Because I've had meetings with art directors here, and they look at my portfolio and they're like, oh, do you only photograph Black people or blah blah blah? And it's like, I don't, but these are my people, and I'm gonna photograph them, because you've continually perpetuated this white narrative and this of imagery that we've had to look at for so many years. So yeah, this is actually what my work speaks about, Blackness. So if you want to be a part of it, then be a part of it. If not, then go hire the next photographer.
I would say to that, Josh, I just want to add, like, can you imagine if, like, to all the old school photographers and whatever, if someone opened their book like back in the day and was like, do you only shoot white models? Right? So what if you only want to shoot Black people? They only shoot white people. So that's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. I think what's super interesting about like all of this is that, that sometimes it feels like the idea of community is often put on, I guess, people of color, like specifically Black people, like, the Black community. People don't talk about the white community in that same way. Like there isn't, like it's expected for, for people of color to have to kind of speak about their own experience constantly all the time, when that's like a point of difference, when actually it's just normal. People just live, it's made to be a separate thing. And I wondered actually, if we take community outside of this kind of, I feel like all of you are Black people, and taking community outside of that idea of having to speak only about speak only about yourselves and about, I guess, on a sort of like a really abstracted level. It's about this, I guess, this idea of kind of thinking of yourself as part of a bigger thing, a bigger part of everything. And particularly when we look at, I guess, stuff like in, with Minnesota, with the George Floyd protests, we've seen in response to a really difficult situation of this police violence, that the community has come to create food centres and medical aid stations at protests, which has been incredible. And I was kind of thinking about how you guys create kind of community both in your own lives and to one another, how you, I suppose, create that sense of being a sense of togetherness. What does that look like for you, creating a sense of togetherness?
I think for me, it's a lot about communication, and especially like now, what I have seen as being really important is that like no one is exempt from speaking about this. And for the past 2 weeks, I found it very traumatic, like being interviewed about what's currently happening, because every Black person gets forced into like activism and like even being an individual that's very much surrounded by white spaces. You're from like school, I was like basically forced into activism. I'm always like trying to explain the Black experience, explain my experience, being this body that's in fashion that's not that diverse at all. So I think what we individually have been trying to do is trying to get our people involved, because we can't actually change what's currently happening in the world if other races are not in alliance. And that's something that I found that like I actually can't stay silent about this. I have to be speaking about like my non-Black friends about this, and speaking about people that I come across in the street about this and that sort of stuff. And like correcting people is also a massive part that's like been a confidence level for me to kind of break through. Yeah. What do you guys think?
I just like I'm just thinking about in terms of this. I remember reading this really great theorist called Richard Dyer, and he was saying that a racialized body, that if you think of we're people, but we're Black people, and like if you see a white person, you just describe them as a person, and how whiteness is this universal norm, and that means that they can speak on behalf of humanity. But because we've been racialized as Black people, we're only allowed to speak on behalf of our own race. And I think the way for progression, which I think is happening right now, is that as a Black person, we don't just have to speak on behalf of our race. We should be able to speak on behalf of humanity, because we are all part of humanity. And I don't know. It's a tough one. I'm just really shocked. I'm really happy that this is happening, but at the same time, I'm just like, really? You didn't realize that racism was that much of a problem? Like everyone being like, oh my God, like gasp, shock, horror. It's just like, really? Like we've been talking about this our whole career, like, and only now that you're going to pick a book up?
Yeah.
Like, at least you are, but like, it's like, damn, like, I don't know. Yeah.
I guess I kind of wanted to I realized that we've got kind of into like a situation of feeling really, really quite angry about stuff. And I actually kind of wanted to sort of bring it up to a place of what's hopeful, what's new, what's freeing as we move forward. There's a lot of change happening. And certainly I feel like just with this scene, with this sense of like lightness and freedom, we've got these beautiful examples of really incredible creative work with these beautiful people in the photographs as well, which actually provide this kind of like it's almost like a roadmap for thinking, okay, actually I can think about things a little bit differently once you start seeing these images and reading these words, and starting to sort of immerse yourself in this kind of like hopeful like imaginings of the future. You can start to kind of think about how a world might look. And I guess as we kind of come to the end of our panel today, I'd really like kind of all three of you to speak about a little bit about what you've learned from this collaborative process, what you're going to take away, and also, you know, kind of how you're going to take the kind of visions that you came into it and how you're going to move them forward as you go forward.
Yeah, I'm really excited for the future, actually. I think just being in isolation, I've been able to, I guess, Josh, you spoke about like the little Instagram group that we got. I met new people over the past couple of months that I'm like, wow, their work's really inspiring for me. And I guess like, so adding it onto my little fashion mood board for next season. Yeah, so that's been quite fun. And I guess this time has been really good for creativity. I think for all of us, like we've all been working on individual projects that are could enable us to come out with within the next year. I'm working on Spring Summer 21 at the moment. I just really want to inject the idea of like joy is still important within this time. I didn't speak out that much before, but that's something that I've been trying to be like, okay, let me just log off for a bit and remember that like I can still have moments of like enjoying just feeling joy in general is something that's really important.
Yeah, I think I maxed out from I think I maxed out maybe 6 days ago from all of it, and you know, I'm sort of on this, you know, sort of on this decline of sort of just feeling stabilized about my my thoughts in my mind and trying to put my energy in the right place so that, you know, I don't get sick and I don't start feeling like how I feel every day and how other Black people feel every day from watching what's happening in the media, then becoming desensitized to, you know, to what's happening. And I think it's important for, especially me as a Black male whose death rate is really at a really low. And, you know, most Black men die at the age of anywhere between 45 and 50. And it's because of the stresses that come from the system, and it's because the systemic oppression that has been in place. And so, you know, so for me, the last couple of days has been very important for me to connect with Jess and connect with Bianca and in our group text. I mean, we haven't talked about our group text.
You don't want to see that. Many laughs to be had.
Yeah.
Many laughs, but it's laughs of joy, and it's laughs of a sense of accomplishment, and, you know, coming together and be able to collaborate like this and putting something together that we all feel really proud and really and really proud about. And I think you know, I think it's important for more Black creatives to continue to create and collaborate with one another, because you learn not only about you know, I not only learn about how other POCs deal with their creative process, or go through their creative process, but also how they deal with the microaggressions that are daily brought up, brought up again, that we have to go through, and seeing how they how they deal with their mental health. You know what I'm saying? Because all of our mental health right now is probably at the highest threat that it's ever been. So it's important to have the community, like we talked about, to be able to come together and hold each other's hands, not really, but and be able to stand strong and come together. So I think it's important for more of this to happen, so that we can all sort of feel the strength within the numbers.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Jess, how what's making you hopeful right now? How's the collaboration kind of given you something to move forward with?
I think I'm going to be like completely honest. I'm probably a massive egotist, but I'm very protective about like my work, and like I don't like I'm always like trying to be like my most authentic self, and like I don't but then I'm like, through this I've realized, you know, no man or woman is an island, and it's actually important to invite other people in, and it brings more stuff out, and like to not be such a weird control freak about stuff, and just be like, if Bianca is saying this, maybe that actually might make it a bit better. I'm not God, even though my initials are JC. Jesus Christ. But I do think, like, for me, yes, this is a tough time, but you know, we've gone through this before, and we will survive. And I just think laughter is so important, and just, you know, wit and humor, and just just not taking yourself too seriously. And I think Black people are really good at that. We're really good at humor, and trying to make light of something as a way of getting through it. Because, you know, if you're constantly thinking about racism and racial oppression every single second of your day, I wouldn't be able to get out of bed, you know. So I'll just go for a walk, and there's life outside.
Yeah.
Well,
that was so cheesy. I'm so sorry.
I like there's life outside. I think that's a really nice place to kind of like draw this to a close. So we've been talking about Bianca Saunders' new zine. We are one of the same, made in collaboration with Joshua Woods and Jess Cole. It's available to buy on Bianca's website at the moment, which is a super exciting project. It's been a real pleasure talking to all three of you about this, and also shout out to Matt Holmes as well, who did the styling, but he's in New York, so he couldn't make it to the call because it's, you know, whatever o'clock in the morning. But it's been such a pleasure. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts and experiences with me today.
Thank you, Bella.
Thank you so much for joining, and thank you to all of you for watching. For more extensive Fashion Week coverage, be sure to visit SHOWstudio.com. And if you're watching via Show Studio's YouTube, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe below. We'll see you next time. Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, peace.